Hello everyone and welcome to my Stitch With Me video. This is my beautiful project which I started about 3 or 4 months ago, and it's called London City, and the designer is Thea Gouverneur. And I've actually started this pattern right in the very center, and I've decided to work page by page. It really is a beautiful pattern. It's very effective with the metallics, and even though I'm not the best kind of person to work with metallics, I find that with a little bit of patience you can go a really long way. So let's see, I'm going to try and do a little bit of stitching today. It's very early in the morning and I'm still a little bit tired, but I've had my coffee, so I should be fine. And I'm actually working on the next building here. This is the top of the cathedral, and this is, if you can see that there's like a corner, it's cornered off here, which means I'm working on one page only. And when I finish that page, I will then move on to the next page, whether it be below or beside. And I think that way kind of keeps things neater for me, because paper charts do kind of tend to get sort of all, if you can see, all sort of creased up, and they tend to get really bad and difficult to read after a while. So I figure if I work a whole page, that's the end of the page. I don't have to look at that page again. And I'm working my back stitch as I go along, which is also another bonus for me, because it means I don't have to come back at the end of my pattern and do all of the back stitch. But just a quick tip, if you're going to do back stitch as you go along, make sure that you're covering all the stitches that are already done and you haven't forgotten to do a couple of stitches, because you don't want to come to do back stitch and then find you haven't actually done the cross beneath. So you finish the whole area like I did here. Actually, with this section I worked about half of it and then I did the back stitch, and then I worked the other half, another piece like from here to here, and then I did the back stitch, and then I did my final piece at the top, and then I did all the back stitch when I'd finished the top of the cathedral. So let's see how I go. I'm using one strand, which I find actually is a bit of a blessing, because I'm used to 2 strands tent with my Aida designs, so it's nice to vary it up a little bit. It's actually really nice. And the way I start this is interesting, because I go in from the front, and I got this trick off a video on Flosstube, and I'm basically making a cross and holding a tail at the front so that I can just secure the cross, which has worked absolutely fine for me. I have not had a single problem. Mind you, I am working on 18 count here, and that's a fairly large cross. So it's not too difficult to see the hole, and that makes it even easier to do these crosses. So I've done a couple here where I need to do them, and then I will let go of that little tail at the front, and I'm all done. I mean, literally, I can just snip that off now as close as I can, and there we are. And now I don't want to pull too hard, but I can pull on this thread a little bit, and I'll find that we're not going to get into any trouble with that thread actually coming out again. So, how has everybody been doing with their projects? Are you starting something new? Are you planning some Christmas projects of your own? I'm actually starting a stitch along on my Discord community, and it's going to be a design called Quaker Snowflakes, and it's by Liz Matthews. You can find it on Etsy if you just type in Liz Matthews Quaker Snowflakes. And we're starting this very soon, in less than a couple of weeks, I think. So we're starting this sale on the 1st of October. So if you'd like to join us, you can click on the link, the Discord link in the description, and you're more than welcome to gather your supplies. The lovely thing about this sale is that there's quite a number of us doing it, but we're all doing it we're doing this pattern on a different fabric and using different colored flosses. So it's going to be really interesting to see what everybody's decided upon, and to see the exact same pattern developing with different flosses and different colors. So it's going to be quite unusual, interesting, and colorful, I'd say. So yeah, you're welcome to join us. So I'm going really carefully with this because this one does feel like a delicate design to me. It's not one that I would like to hurry in any way. I'm really sort of being quite nimble, being quite delicate, and treating it like something fragile, because I find that with the one strand, it does kind of feel that way. It's like a kind of reduction from this bulkiness that I'm used to with the two strands, and going down to this one strand does feel a lot sort of finer and more delicate. Can't really explain it unless you've experienced it yourself, but if you're used to using two strands and then you suddenly go down to one, you'll notice the difference. There's less of that sound of flosses pulling through the holes, and you know, the kind of general stitching sounds that you get when you puncture the holes. It just feels like it's more fluid and smooth in some way. So you kind of work it like that, very delicately. I don't want to lose my counting, because there is quite a bit of counting in this one, and the actual place where I was a bit nervous about doing was when I hopped from this section over to this section, and I really more than double checked that I'd, you know, counted in between here, because can you just imagine if you'd counted wrongly from this building to this building, and you'll say one stitch extra to the right or one stitch to the left. I mean, that is really what just throws your mind off completely, because then you have to do the rest of the building one stitch off to the right and that kind of thing to be able to keep it consistent, and then it just makes the whole paper chart a complete mess. So I am trying to be very careful with it. So it is Wednesday today, and I woke up this morning and I had a little bit of a headache, so it took me a little bit of a while to kind of sort myself out, and drinking a nice cup of hot coffee always helps. And I've noticed that it's really quite windy outside today, so there's definitely an air of changing seasons. We are coming into the colder or cooler weather now. It's been such a lovely summer here in Edinburgh. We've had so much lovely sun. I really can't complain about it. I've really enjoyed some of these lovely days, although the humidity can be a little bit hard to bear every so often, but it was okay. It was bearable when you've got like a fan or something that you can cool yourself off with. But it has been nice sort of summery evenings, and you can feel that chill in the air now late at night. When you wake up in the morning, the first things that get cold are your toes and your fingers, and then you go looking for a cardigan or something, jumper that you can wear. So yeah, it does feel like the seasons are changing already, which is nice, because as you're walking along you can also see the leaves are starting to fall, and you know, everything's turning from that bright green to lovely golden yellow tones. It really does inspire you and make you think about Halloween that's coming up, and all the lovely charts that you can do that are related to Halloween. So it's a lot of fun. Now there is going to be a teeny bit of counting here, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mark off what I've just done from the top, just to make sure that I'm on the right track, because I've been really lucky. I haven't made a lot of mistakes with this chart, and I think part of the reason why that is because I have been so careful and double checked every stitch. I mean, it might sound a little bit tedious, but trust me, when you take that extra precaution, you don't regret it later on. So I'm just going to follow where I need to go next, because I do not want to do any frogging today. Especially not. And it's actually really nice every so often to actually stitch on slightly bigger fabric, slightly bigger holes, because I'm so used to the 25 count. It's kind of like having a little holiday from the 25 count, you know, just a little break for your eyes so that they can rest a bit. You can still do your stitching, but you can have a break. Oh, my needles come out. I've noticed that happens quite a bit too when you've got one strand, because you're used to having two strands. You can't really feel the one strand under the needle. 1, 2, and up here. It's getting into a certain area that's already got stitches done. Just make sure I'm going right. 1, 2, 3. So counting them in numbers actually helps. So if you decide that you need to do, say, 6 stitches, you can count 1, 2, 3, and now we're going on to 4. That actually helps you to keep your place as well, and to know how many you've done. 4, and I need, which I hadn't actually done just now after saying it. So I'm just kind of following a path here, making sure that I haven't left any stitches out on my way. It can be a little bit of a pain if you kind of do a whole area of stitches and then you realize that you've left one stitch out, so then you've already ended your thread and everything, so now you have to go back with a brand new thread just to do that one stitch that you've forgotten to do. So that's another thing I've noticed that can happen. So I do try to scan the paper chart quite vigorously to make sure that I've caught as many of the colour as I can in that particular area. Because as you know, with a paper chart, you're not going to get the search function, the searching for the symbols that you get on Pattern Keeper, which is a lot more helpful. Your eye, you have to kind of rely on your own instincts and your own eye to see where the colours are. Now, I think I've got a bit lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm here. Yeah, I think I found my place. Some of these shades are very, very similar. They look very much the same. But nice and slowly and nice and fluid, and we get the job done without tearing our hair out or having to come back and say, oh God, I've made a mistake, but I don't know where that mistake is. Now I have to spend half an hour looking for my mistake, and then once I find it, another half an hour to frog. No, we don't want that. So let's just keep going nice and smoothly with this one. Sometimes it takes maybe 10 minutes to get actually into the chart you're doing, for your fingers to get used to the count that you're working on, that kind of thing. And I'm pretty sure that I've done well here. Really is a very pretty chart, and I love architecture. I'm very much into landscapes and the way this is the way that I can end my thread now. I basically just cut it from the front, leaving the tiniest little piece sticking out that I will come up through later, which will also secure it. And again, I haven't had any problems whatsoever. I'm also keeping all my threads in this these little envelopes here with the number and the symbol, and I've got quite a good lot of them actually, quite a good lot of them. I had to buy a whole box of envelopes just to cater for this pattern, but again, I don't regret it at all because it's much easier to put all of this into envelopes, and just to take out each and every piece that you need as and when you need it. Just going to try and quickly rub off the ones I've done. Where am I going? Up again. And it's nice that one thing I have found with this chart as well is that you do see the progress rather quickly. It's not like the Heaven and Earth design where you can work multiple areas and find that to you it doesn't really look like you've made any progress or done very much. But with this one, you do a little bit and you can already see, take advantage of what you've done, and it's already showing. Now we're on to our next colour, which is going to be a light one again. I like to work the lighter colours during the day, to be honest, where the light is the brightest, and you'll find it's easier to see. I make a lot more mistakes if I'm working whites and creams and silvers at night time. I make more mistakes with them. This pattern comes with pre-cut threads, and that's actually really helpful as well. So I'm going to do my little loop start again and just make sure I'm in the right place. So that's 1, 2. Yep, so just here. And I'm going to hold on to that little tail at the front, make my cross. To secure it. And that's really useful. And I'll just do one more cross, holding on to my tail, just to make sure. And doing the start like that actually uses a lot less thread. So there's a lot less wastage, because one thing I have noticed with this design is that you're not given the DMC numbers. All you're really given is the number of thread, say from 1 to 50 or whatever it is, and the symbol. So you've no idea what DMC number it is, which is not the greatest, to be honest. However, I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult if you started running out of a thread to actually shade compare and go looking for the closest shade you can get to the one that you have. But it is a little bit of a pain to do that, isn't it? So I'm hoping that by being as careful as I am, that I'm actually not going to run out of threads, and that it'll just be fine. But I know that putting them in separate envelopes actually helps me see which ones have got, if I'm running out of some of the threads, I can then go and maybe try and look up the DMC equivalent, you know, before I lose the thread completely and then I don't know what colour it was. So when I get down to about having 2 threads left, I would then go DMC searching, I think. But I haven't heard anyone complain that they've run out of threads with this design yet, so we'll see. The less wastage, the better. I'm actually keeping every little tiny piece that I can back in the envelope, because you never know when you might just only need to do like 2 stitches and you've run out. And that little tiny scraggly bit that you put in the envelope, that'll do. Then you don't have to worry about searching for the DMC. There we go. Remember to slow down a little bit and not rush it. Kind of used to rushing through my heaven and earth designs. Again, it's one of those patterns that looks really good when you stand far back and look at it. Sometimes getting too close doesn't give you a good perspective of how it actually is the most appealing. And I always give it the benefit of the doubt if it looks a bit blurry close up. In fact, looking at something very close up is not ideal anyway. So your true representation of how something comes out well is to look at it as if it was on the wall and stand a little way back, because then you can take in the entire objective. You can take in the whole visual aspect and not just a little tiny area that you're looking at. Now we're going to hop up to another section here. It's a very peaceful piece, if that makes any sense. It just feels, I don't know, sort of calming and relaxing. There's no sort of tension with it at all. It's very fluid. That's kind of what I like about this one. Oh, now I have a decision to make. Do I jump a little bit or do I carry on with my vertical line? Oh, I think I'm going to jump 2 stitches. It's not too much, is it? And then jump back again. It's going to save me the hassle later. I'm not going to jump too much on this chart, because the way I'm stopping and starting is using relatively little threads anyway. So I don't have to worry about ending it and starting it and using up too much thread there. But a little jump of about between 5 and 10 stitches is okay, I think, for me. Anything more than that, I'd probably end the thread. And there's a lot of lovely shades of creams and whites and beige, so they really do blend in nicely. So have any of you thought about doing a design like this? I think there are a couple of stitches doing this one. I don't know what sort of progress they're making. It could be a lot faster than I am. But you see, I'm just really trying to enjoy my patterns rather than just worry about which one I'm going to finish first or which one's going to get done more than the other. I'm just bringing them out as and when I feel like doing them, and I think that really does feel more relaxed. So taking everything in my stride and just enjoying what I'm doing. I could have actually worked a little bit more on this one during the summer. But as you know, during the summer when the days are nicer, there's a little bit more activity of going out and organising things and just spending more time with family. So it's kind of hard to shuffle that time around between your crafts sometimes and getting to do stuff with the family. So it's not actually going to be very long before I finish this half of the building, and then I will do the back stitch. There's only very little bit of back stitch along here. Then I will completely scrap the page. I think there's a few stitches more on the left. Then I will completely scrap the page, put it back into the packet and get my next page out and continue probably to the right here. So it looks like I'm probably going to have a whole upper area of this pattern finished before I get to finish the bottom area of the pattern. But that's fine. I'm not too bothered about which areas are getting done or not getting done, as long as the whole thing is getting done, right? I'm really enjoying this one. So it has been a lovely, pleasant week for me. Not a lot of life update at the moment, really. Sort of tentatively thinking about buying a property and looking at all the ins and outs and the good sides and the bad sides, the upsides, the downsides, everything to do with that, because it's quite a huge commitment. And yeah, but kind of taking it slowly at the same point and not getting stressed about it and not letting it worry me in any way. But yeah, that's kind of been one thing that's been going on, is talking about getting our own place and putting our own stamp in it and that kind of thing. So I'm fully aware of how much stash I have and everything, and I'm trying to keep things nice and tidy in boxes, keep things to a minimum and where I can find them, so that should the day come where we will be moving to our own place, I will be able to just pick up my stash and go. And not worry about where is this, where is that. So to be prepared in advance is a good thing, I think, at least in terms of being tidy and knowing where your things are. So anything I really don't want is going to get put into a bag and taken down to the charity shop. Sometimes I have to do that, and before I change my mind, because I know it's what I want to do, but sometimes I think I'm not sure I really want to do it. And oh, hang on a minute, bit of a funny stitch going on here. No, it's fine. So there we are. I've done my little section today, and I'm quite happy with what I've got done. Let me know what you think. And that's the end of my little stitch with me this morning. I will be back on Saturday evening, all being well, and I will catch up with you then, and we can chat about stitching and everything stitching related, and you can let me know about your projects and how you're getting on with them. I always love to get updates about what people are working on. So I'll see you very soon, Saturday at about 7 p.m. UK time, which is roughly about 2 in the afternoon in the US. So I hope you can make it, and look forward to seeing you then.